Hi, everybody. It's Ron again for another day of headlines. Every day there are more headlines. They never stop. They keep coming. So we're going to tackle them and see if there's anything that we can add context or commentary to today. Here we have Netanyahu, Prime Minister there in Israel, this ongoing war, this incursion into Gaza, which is strangely not. Sorry, I was too big. Back off. I know it's too much, but anyway, what would happen in Gaza is you see all of these protests. There's all this news of protests, hate crimes against Jewish people, Jews fleeing UK campuses. Lots of crazy stuff going on that I would think is, in some ways, is heartbreaking. I would think to supporters of Israel because throughout the decades, as I've mentioned in the past, as you know, this sort of conflict between Israel and its neighbors has been pretty much a constant. And this is the first time where in the West, in the liberal democracies, we see a big surge of not only support for Palestinians, but sort of anti-Israeli sentiment. And this is a challenge to Israel's allies. And of course, some of this is a weird conflation of Hamas and the Palestinians. And I've explained this before. It always bears repeating again. There is a legitimate Palestinian authority that's supposed to rule in Hamas and the West Bank. It still rules in the West Bank and has been cooperating with Israel in the normalization of their relations together. But in 2007, the rightful government in the Gaza area was overthrown by Hamas, which is probably by any measure a terrorist organization that is allied with some say being controlled by Iran. And Iran has its own reasons in the region to want to disrupt Israel's peace with its neighbors. I need to turn off my speakers here before I start this. Sorry about that. I have a checklist of things I do before this, but there are always things that can get in the way. And this is a Friday here where I am, so this is a busy day one way or another. So anyway, we have this situation in the Middle East where we have Hamas being conflated with the Palestinian cause by many in the West. You can say that you could be supportive of Palestine, their aspirations, and the final settlement with which Israel has participated in, most notably at the end of the Clinton administration when they were very close to a deal. But what's happened is that with Gaza being taken over by Hamas, it's kind of thrown a wrench into to the whole Middle East situation out of nowhere. And as we mentioned often, Ukraine disappears from most of the news after almost a couple years of being at the top. Population. This is always important to be aware of. You got to look up that in the middle of this century, maybe the 2050s, one would expect the population to be going down because in developed countries, once a country is developed, for a whole host of reasons, such as it becomes very expensive to maintain children, and you have fewer children because it's more expensive in a developed economy that's a more specialized economy to raise up and educate children. So naturally in developed economies, as we see like in Japan, and we see South Korea or Singapore, any of those things, population starts to dip. So the estimates is that even though population is could be a big issue now in some countries, over time, when you develop up countries' economies, the birth rates start to dip, and that becomes a huge problem as well. We have in China, we have this demographic bubble of, they tried to mess with their demographics by, the one child policy, and it's caused a deformity in the demographic curve. You look at these charts of the countries and the numbers of people by age, and from this you can look at and see, are people going to be working, enough people working to support the people that are elderly? Are there going to be enough people working in the kind of industries that this country specializes in at this point in its development? That is, are they in farming, manufacturing, things where you have masses of people, or are you high tech? Are there going to be enough people to be educated and to serve in those? So anyway, China has this bubble of elderly people that are coming into the world, and they're not going to be able to pay for that, apparently, going forward, and it's causing all kinds of pressures on their economy. We have more stuff about crazy stuff in the U.S. Congress, politicians yelling at each other. We have it's weird stuff, that has happened in the United States with their supply chain. COVID threw everything out of whack. We have the drug shortages in the United States. So not only do people in the United States get to pay by far the highest costs for healthcare in the world, they don't even have the drugs now that this high cost is supposed to pay for. I think all of this has shown America's adversaries another weakness in the American system. You just have a warning about COVID, and people clear out toilet paper, and you can't get any more, and they say, "Oh, the supply chain is all busted." Shows how tenuous the world that has been created in this modern society really is. This is more about the debate the other day. This is, as I've explained many times, the smoke-filled room, the move to try to replace Trump with somebody else who is maybe a more viable candidate. Trump has a radical support, but that only goes so far in the general elections. Here's more about Trump and his legal troubles. You got scientists creating Frankenstein chimera monkey that glows green. That is a good use of science. The world needs more glowing green monkeys, especially now. I don't even want to click on this. It's scary. China's animal lovers fight illegal cat meat trade. I kind of pride myself on having eaten a lot of weird things, and I haven't eaten cat. I have eaten dog. In China, there's had like a soup, and the meat were in these chunks, and tasted sort of like maybe a hot roast or brisket, maybe in a clear soup. It was really good, a kind of a meaty taste. Doesn't taste like chicken, like they always say. The weird meat tastes like chicken, but that was that. But I probably shouldn't, I suppose. I mean, maybe we shouldn't kill dogs, but we kill cows and other animals. But I don't know. With cats and dogs, I wouldn't expect wouldn't have much meat on them. And we've sort of bred them to be human-like or at least reactive to human beings. So I don't know. Maybe it's not right. It's supposed to be the same as eating monkeys or something. It's too close to us in one way or another. Actor strike over. This is So this is about Thiel. I believe it's pronounced. This guy, kind of a both has some left-wing qualities, but he's a big Republican mover, a shaker. So all this about taking a break from democracy, no more money to politician, downloads on Trump. I'm certain, as he is a big mover in the background of Republican politics, this is part of that smoke-filled room to show that there's not the support there for Trump anymore, to move the party to someone else while there's still time. And of course, we'll see the same thing is happening with the Democrats and Biden. Facebook returning to China. China wants to dominate the market. Now, on AI, okay. This crazy stuff. Apple suffers setback in EU clash over 14 billion tax bill. See, you can bet with that kind of money involved. And I looked at the article. It's just all this legal stuff about things that are so far off of normal people's reality. It's just almost trivia, but the one thing we always know about this is when there's this kind of money involved, governments will try to tie you up to get their hands on it because that's, as they say, the money is the lifeblood of politics. It only exists. They want to get the money so they can spend it to show what good guys they are, how they're taking care of you. Baby DNA, Venezuela, prison gangs. This is an incredible story here. The guy who bought a coal mine for $2 million that might hold a $37 billion treasure. This is the rare earth elements that I think are usually sourced from very remote places like China, maybe Africa. They're necessary for computers, but this is like I guess someone made an assay of this mine. This is probably very hyperbolic to say this, but it makes a good headline. And I'm sure the guy who owns this land is going out and trying to get investors or making a deal at a very high valuation based on the potential of this mine. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but who knows? It's a guy who had a lung transplant and they held his heart in place with breast implants. Okay, I don't know if that's unlucky or lucky. He got breasts and a heart. But that's the kind of clickbaity headline you see these days. Ransomware, something about threats against politician. Here's the other side of the coin of the smoke-filled room. Democrats grow more confident campaign message for many reasons, such as the results of the election a couple days ago that show that Republicans, especially ones that were pushing stricter, harder line messages on abortion, they lost out. So the Democrats think maybe the message is okay, but Biden and the vice president, who would become president if Biden dies, or, well, I guess he's already infirm. That's kind of a dodgy thing for many reasons, for not only those reasons, but other reasons as well. And see, it's the same side, the other side of the coin from Trump. So we have smoke-filled room here, people saying, who could we put in so we can be more confident that we can retain the presidency? And more stuff about Trump here with Bannon. More things about extreme movies. You know, since the dawn of the internet, a lot of these news aggregation sites have, I think a lot of movies have become more bland and a few of them have become more extreme. I guess anything to grab eyeballs. Trailer released for Spielberg World War II series. I watched all of those Band of Brothers, all that, quite good. enjoyable. Sort of the same after a while, if I dare say something like that. Here's one. This is about, I think it's Flyboys or something, about the guys that fly in the planes in World War II. About loneliness, average Americans entering nursing home care at 84. Something you never want to have to do. I know that with my own parents. Sometimes you got to do it, and you just put on a happy face, which they did. Never complained at all, but I'd complain. Divorced couple's dogs as legally a family member, Colombian court says. That's very sweet. And here I was just talking about eating dogs. So, yeah, that's another day of news. Before we go, this is my book. This is There Are Still Unknown Places. It's a novel of life and living. People who are in Bangkok, in Thailand, both foreigners coming here to work and local Thai people, the hopes, the dreams and the fears against the metropolis, the concrete backdrop of this world. It's on Amazon and Kindle. You can buy it if you want. And there was something, I have this, a long time ago, I was going to, I was commissioned to write this book about The Art of War by Sun Tzu, I believe it's pronounced, and the project never went ahead, but I was really into The Art of War for a while, so I had this great pack of playing cards, each one with something about The Art of War on it. And today there was a lot of them are very, very good advice about strategic planning, but here's one here that is sort of, I'll make this big. This one is sort of antisocial, and I don't know, it just made me laugh with horror a bit. Loot a burning house. Take advantage of a crisis suffered by your adversary. Crisis may keep your adversary from opposing your actions. So that's something else, isn't it? And that is what perhaps a lot of, got an alarm going off here. That is what a lot of America's adversaries see today in the world. Perhaps an overstretched Western alliance, particularly American, that is, it has to support things in the Ukraine against Russia, and it has to support Israel against Hamas. And in both of those cases, there's a lot of domestic unease. So we see China thinking, hey, now's the time to make a move. So anyway, that is that's the news for today, and I will see you tomorrow for more headlines, because the headlines, they don't stop. Bye.